welcome everyone to the Film Vault. That is Anderson. I'm Brian Benjamin, hosts for the Flickfession portion of this week's entertainment. We'll be bringing you a whole bunch of new movies we saw and talking about them. How many movies you bring into the program, Anderson?
Short week, Brian. I was able to see one full movie and parts of a couple that I've already seen. They were just showing on HBO, you know.
Feels like you shouldn't even bother mentioning those at all.
Feels like I'm just channeling Brian of 2010 is what it feels like. No, I got 3 movies, 3 films to talk about. Excited. I know you're still struggling with this new open because, this is only the 3rd week now that we've done Flickfessions as its own standalone episode. And I think you get some more excitement behind it, Brian. You think about how we have new movies, some new movies to talk to you guys about, some new movies to review, to Flickfest, if you will. You know what I mean? I could hear you struggling still. I guess this is a conversation we should have off air.
We'll have at least 2 movies that we've both seen to talk about.
Yes.
At least.
And if you're a good movie co-host, movie podcast co-host, then we will line up on all 3. So therefore, I'm predicting we're going to line up on 2.
Okay. Yeah. That you just do the math there. Yeah. It's like a flow chart. Good movie co-host. Yes, this way. No, that way.
What's up, buddy? How are you? How you feeling? How are things?
Good, man. That's actually funny. It was a short week because we took Tessa to the snow. Oh my gosh, we got snow. We got lucky actually. We got a snowstorm on the first day. On the first morning we were there.
Yes, you sent me a picture, and I could see the blurry snow. Yeah, like moving snow in the air, and I was jealous. I was legit, bona fide jealous that I was not up there with my own child. Because that would, hey, for those of you who live in like Texas right now, or any other part of the world that normally gets snow, and you're hearing this, we snow is a novelty to us for sure. We rarely ever get to see snow.
You have to go to the snow. There's no, I don't think has it ever snowed in like Los Angeles, the city of? Yeah,
for sure. Like once every 50 years, it snows and it sticks, and everyone takes pictures and gets excited. But yeah, it snows like once every 50.
All right.
I love how you still don't really believe me. You're like, okay, if you say so.
I have not seen proof of this. I have not personally witnessed this.
1985, I think, was the last time I saw snow, and that was some years ago.
Yes, it
Maybe
was.
35 years ago. And I know that it snowed like in the 40s out here in the valley.
Wow. How about that? I still don't believe it, but if you say so.
Enough snow talk.
We debated doing snow scenes, but we've done snow scenes, we've done cold scenes, and it just felt forced, so we stuck with our top 5 for next episode, top 5 good dads, a fruitful topic, Anderson. I had a robust top 5 and a robust also-ran list.
That's fine and dandy, Brian, but why don't we save all that for that actual episode, which is coming up in a couple days. You know what else I want to talk to you about on our top 5 list this week during that episode is the Golden Globe Awards, which we have not mentioned at all. We haven't even referenced once.
I definitely mentioned in the last episode, I said someone was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Well, we haven't really discussed it much. It's been a couple of weeks now since nominations have come out, and I forced myself. I'm like, dude, you talk about movies, you get paid to talk about movies. You should at least glance and skim what the nominations were. Oh, Brian, I did a deep dive because I started seeing some of the I just started seeing the nominations. I'm like, you're kidding me? What? That? Huh? What?
I mentioned
and I kept going and going.
When I talked about News of the World, I mentioned that the little girl was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and the original score was nominated for Best Original Score at the Golden Globes.
There are some issues that I am taking with some of these nominations, so we'll talk about that on the top 5 list.
We shouldn't even consider the Golden Globes an award show. It's just a show where people drink and come up and give speeches.
It's an award show. They give awards, and they're golden.
Know, you know what I'm saying?
Globes.
It's not as though it's a meritorious award show. It is, it's second tier best.
I don't know why anyone. I guess just because everybody, wants to be awarded, and the more award shows, the better for like the patting on the back and the megalomania that runs rampant in the old Hollywood, right? So I guess perhaps that's why they're all welcome with open arms.
I guess.
But I feel like there's money in that. I feel like you and I could muster up an award show. I'm like, we got a new award show over here.
Buddy, we have an award show. We have an award show every year.
People would be like, am I nominated? Might I get a trophy?
Did I get a vote?
But it's the foreign press, right? From my understanding, it's all of the press from around the world that is not part of the United States press. And
it is the Hollywood Foreign Press, but I think you have to be a member of, you know what I mean? Voting member.
But I don't think that you can be from Fort Worth.
Unless you secede from the Union, then you'd technically be foreign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have wanted to for a while. Okay, hey, let's get to our Flickfessions. Before we do, though, I go back and forth with the listeners a lot throughout the week, whether it's through my email or through the old Patreon over there with the message boards. And I'm constantly reaching out to those who have picks coming up, such as the Assigner, such as this week's Assigner, Tam Smith, who assigned us a movie that we'll be flickfesting here momentarily. And there's one listener who I cannot get a hold of, and I don't want that person to think that I'm shirking my responsibility or we're shirking our responsibility. His name's Pote, or her name's Pote Folige. And I don't know where you are. Shoot me an email, anderson@andersoncowan.com. All right. You're past due and you're not responding to any of my emails. Obviously, the email that you gave Patreon is not a real email or one that you check. Or you're just very rude. I doubt that's the case.
What if Pote is suffering from COVID? What if they're doing a ventilator right now?
I mean, we're going on weeks now. Perhaps. I think that the chances, because I look at the numbers once again, Brian, chances are slim that that's the case. But Pote, I want to pay it off. I want to get in touch with you. I want to talk to you. All right. So I'm sorry if I don't like that sneeze. I don't like the sound of it.
I'm allergic to supportive listeners.
I do not like the sound of your sneeze. So
really?
You think you can workshop that?
I'm working on that. I'll work it.
What was it? It was like
You know what? I sneezed into my sleeve, so it was muffled. It was muffled.
Hey, buddy, you're in your own house. Let it fly.
Hold on, it's coming. No, it was almost there, and then I lost it.
That's the worst. You know what I do? I bend my nose really hard to make a new one come because I can't stand when it sneezes, gets stifled. I don't like it.
Interesting. All right, if it happens again, I'll make sure it's a big one.
Please do not do that. All right, here we go. Oh, and if you'd like to see my review of, get this, Brian, The Karate Kid with Atticus, you may do so over at Addie and Andy on YouTube.
I watched the whole thing.
Oh, did you? It was more me than Atticus.
Yeah,
than normal.
I didn't like it for that reason.
Usually Atticus is more involved, but the boy was not cooperating that much. Didn't have a whole lot to say about the Karate Kid. He was tired. In his defense, he was very tired.
He didn't seem taken with the film, although he did have some details.
Yes, he followed some details. You know what? He talks about it constantly throughout the day.
Oh, no.
That's like Daniel. That's like the naughty sensei. That's like this. That's like that. I'm like, yeah. Well, where was all this enthusiasm for the movie during the video? Huh?
I'm sad to say I gave in, Anderson. I crumbled. I gave in, and Tessa has been exposed to, God, I'm sad to say it, The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. And she, you know what? She liked it, but she was definitely bored. It's a 2.5 hour movie that that's a lot of talking.
This is Brian's 4-year-old daughter who's... You know what's funny is girls never liked Star Wars growing up, and now they do, I guess, because they got the female characters, the heroines and whatnot. So
yeah, good. I mean the prequels are definitely they're definitely on her level in terms of appropriateness for kids.
Yeah,
I hesitate to show her the sequels. The modern 3 movies.
She wasn't spellbound with the Senate scenes. She wasn't on the edge of her seat and hanging on each.
No, she was more
Senator Palpatine.
She was more into the Gungans describing or the trade dispute that went on and on. She was really interested in the mechanisms of the trade dispute. Right.
Yeah. The leverage and whatnot. Yeah. She could see the parallels in our own society, I think. All right. Let's get to it. What do we want to start with this week? Got some good ones. Well,
I'm mystified. I really want to have more information, backstory on the movie that we were assigned because I think
you want to start with Unhinged.
Well, we should go worst to first.
All right, so Unhinged. That's this week's movie that was assigned to us by a listener, not just any listener. This was from Tam Smith, who is one of my favorite listeners, if must be known. I love Tam Smith. I've met her, I've talked to her on the phone a number of times, and she came out to see my the Orange County screening of Groupers. You met her. She's also early supporter of Groupers. She's just one of the best. She's been emailing me for years, and she's very supportive and fantastic. She sees a shit ton of movies, Brian. She said she saw about 175 last year, so that's not that far off from the pace that you and I see movies. That's pretty good. She says we've seen most of the movies that she saw. A lot of the movies that she watches are movies that we recommend. So much like you with me, when you got to assign me a movie, she was a little bit... I had a hard time thinking of one that we hadn't seen. She gave us 4 to choose from. This is the one that we landed on. And it's not the type of movie that we would normally seek out or see or watch, which is why one of the reasons why she wanted to have us see it. Now, I spoke with her just yesterday, as I speak to every single person who has, whether it's an assignment movie that they give us that I reach out to, and we speak on the phone about the movie. Beforehand, or if you're a decider on what the top 5 is going to be, we also go over your list and all that. And it's always fun to talk directly to the supporters of the program and go back and forth about movies. Tam, like I said, old friend of the show, so I've talked to Tam plenty of times, and she took umbrage. She took some issue, Brian, with you and the way that you treated her.
What?
And her pick last week. It's one thing to be like, you know what? After seeing the movie, wow, this movie, I really didn't enjoy it. But before you even watch it, she paid good money, Brian, for a number of months to assign us this movie. And
she knowingly assigned us a bad movie.
No. She enjoyed this movie.
No, she did not.
Brian.
I agree. You know what? There's a world where you can enjoy this comedically.
Not just comedically, Brian. It's a thriller.
Oh,
it's a thriller.
Stop it.
All right, let's talk. Let's talk.
You were
this
not
movie.
thrilled by this movie. Unhinged.
No. I absolutely had a really tough time. I was thrilled for sure, but I think you'll understand that once we get down to it. So why don't you give the brass tacks there, sir?
Unhinged is a 2020 film directed by Derek Aborte, written by Carl Ellsworth. I mentioned him because Anderson, he wrote the Red Dawn remake. We just talked about Red Dawn last week.
It doesn't exist in my world.
Oh, he wrote it. It's on his IMDb. It's weird that they would list a movie that didn't exist. Starring Russell Crowe, Karen Pistorius, a South African actress who, no relation to Oscar Pistorius, Gabriel Bateman, Jimmy Simpson, McPoyle from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Love him.
He's very enjoyable. Anderson, I came up with a new term. Tell me what you think about this. This movie reminded me of opening scenes that are just, they feel like they come out of a sort of a screenwriting textbook. They don't feel like they were written by a human being. More like a screenwriting bot, you know what I mean? And I call it this movie has a tropening scene. It's an opening scene that's full of tropes.
Oh, look at you, Brian, with your tropening scene.
Tropening scene. So it opens with, it's pouring rain and a man pulls up in the car and this man is not doing well. This is a chubby Russell Crowe. He's taking his meds right out of the orange medicine bottle. He's not doing well. He's chewing
them.
He's chewing us, right?
Why you got to chew the meds? Just swallow the meds like the rest of us do.
Not even washing them down. He was just taking it out of the window into the rain. But no.
That's a movie thing, though. That's actually one of my pet peeves is people so oftentimes will take a Tylenol or an oxycodone or whatever it might be, and they chew it like some kind of animal. We don't chew our pills. We don't do that. I don't know why.
I accidentally chewed an aspirin once. It was fucking terrible.
No one does that. No one does that unless you're trying to get to the ecstasy quicker, which is something I've been guilty of. Okay.
He's chewing on his meds. He takes off his wedding ring. You can tell.
I actually wrote down, Brian. I wrote down on my phone. Wedding ring coming off.
So you know that bad things are going to happen. Yeah. He inexplicably lights a match in the car and just lets it burn down to his fingers. Just because
he's crazy.
Just to feel something, Anderson. Just to feel something. And he gets out of his car, walks into the house that is listed for sale, which makes sense after you learn what he's about to do. And bad things ensue. This is not a good man. This is not a good person. He's a man at the end of his rope.
He's unhinged, Brian.
He is the titular unhinged. And
He also, you didn't speak of his pretty sweet death blow murder weapon, which is something that I think you could only find in like very specific specialized mining stores.
Oh,
I've never seen a contraption like
it was the hammer that the rock hammer that Andy Dufresne had in Shawshank. It was.
I don't know. I don't know where you'd purchase one of these. I wonder if Amazon has these.
We should look. Not maybe related or maybe not. I don't want to give too much away, but in movies, Anderson, why this happens all the time, not just in this movie, but in lots of movies. Why, when people are pouring gas out of a gas can, do they launch the gas like they're throwing it as far as they can? The gas can has a pour spout. That gas will go wherever you point it.
No, it won't. What do you? If you're trying to get it on a wall, point the pour spout on the wall, Brian, and it will drip at your feet. What are you talking about? Of course you got to splash it. There's a lot of notes to be taken on this movie. There's a lot of problems with this movie. There's a lot of nitpicking we can do with this movie. The way that he's sloshing the gasoline around, it should be really far down on your list.
All right. Well, you know what? It is, actually. I got a lot more above that. So the titular character is quite unhinged, but the problem, okay, the main oh boy. The main problem with the movie is that Russell Crowe isn't unhinged enough. Like, he should have been he could have been a crazy over the top madman, but instead he's just it's as though what's this fuck from Defense.
Yes, there is some falling down parallels.
It's that Michael Douglas was all of a sudden started murdering people. It's like, okay, well, he's not that. It's not that. It needs to be more over the top.
We don't know what this man's thirst for blood was before he decided to go unhinged. Maybe he's always wanted to cause harm amongst others, and he's just held back. And now he's like, fuck it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think this movie has obvious comparisons to like Anderson said, Falling Down.
Falling Down.
But the main structural problem, I think, when you compare the two movies, is Falling Down did a very smart thing by making Michael Douglas the main character. Like, you understand what's going on with him, you follow him, you go on his journey.
Well, it wasn't a thriller for one, Brian.
Russell Crowe's just this madman who just appears, does crazy things, and then you're following inexplicably the charisma-free mom and child. Like, I didn't care about them at all.
No, I mean, I rarely care about victims or the characters that are fleeing peril in movies. It's very rare that I actually care at all. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there for me. So it was the cold open, and then we get to the opening credits. The opening credits were actually fun.
I wrote down opening credits are good.
Yeah, it was a bunch of actual real life footage, found footage, real footage of road rage incidents. A lot of them you may have seen before on YouTube or on the evening news. The one that I was hoping they'd put in there is there's this guy, and it happened in downtown LA a couple of years ago, I'd say now, where he just followed this guy off the freeway and just continued to the guy who he hit from behind because he was so mad, got out of the car. And now it's just like the guy's SUV is just there. And the other guy that was mad is just backing up, smashing into it, backing up, smashing into it. He at one point gets out of the car. He's standing on top of the car and he's just breaking every window and just taking his time. The cops are all there and he's just having his way with his car because he was so angry. They didn't put that one in there, but that's one of my favorite road rage caught on tape incidents. That's neither here nor there. That's not what we're talking about. As far as your complaints about him not being unhinged enough and not being a maniac, hey, it's fat Russell Crowe. I wonder if he put weight on for this role. I wonder if he's just let himself go because he's still depressed about the way that his singing was received in Les Mis. I wonder if they actually added some gut there.
That's what I said. I wrote down a fake belly ?
Because he's like John Goodman big in this. Now his face looks very heavy. That does not look like it didn't look like makeup to me. But his body, it looked like they might have given him a little help there.
Yeah, a little heft.
So the majority of the movie, I would say, takes place behind the wheel. It's on the road. It's moving cars.
You know what I wrote down? You know what I wrote down?
Huh?
He is distressed.
He is distressed. Yes. So this is a little.
He.
What?
He, not she.
He.
No,
I said he.
Yeah, this.
I said he is. Yeah, I said he is distressed. Yes.
She is distressed.
Which is you're discussing Locke here. I get it. I was thinking, oh wow, this is gonna be like Locke, but a thriller. But no, they did spend enough time outside cars that it did not remind me of Locke for very long. But the majority of the movie, I'd say a good 2/3 of it, is on roads in moving cars, and that is that is a feat unto itself, and that might explain some of the unevenness of this movie. I think the director is probably more of an action director, more of a thriller, straight up, like car chase type scene type of director, because some of the actions that you have a problem with him not being unhinged enough. I had problems with him wincing in pain once he did have a shoulder injury. It was just some of the worst acting I've ever seen come from Russell Crowe.
It was pretty bad.
That was bizarre. However, I think I've discussed this with you before, perhaps you recall, but I got a couple real problems when watching movies, and one of them is if a bomb is about to go off, like I have a really hard time. I get so freaked out, Brian, like for that jump scare.
You must have had the Hurt Locker. It must have been torture.
Hurt Locker was tough for me. Land of Mine was very tough for me. And my other very similar phobia that I have with movies is when there's scenes taking places in cars, and I know that there's a good chance that a side street is going to T-bone them at any moment. And right. I was stressed throughout this movie because of that. I kept waiting for that jump scare to come, and it was scaring me quite a bit. Now,
are you saying that you were distressed?
I was distressed. This movie, like I told Tam, is not a bad movie for people who don't see a ton of movies. That's when she cut me off and said, "Hey, how dare you, Anderson? I've seen like 175 movies or so." And I said, "Okay, well, maybe it's because I don't really like thrillers. I'm not a giant thriller fan, but I could see, however, the song's good. I like the Michael Jackson song. I could see people who are just looking for a turn off your brain and enjoy, a fun little romp or, thriller movie. I don't watch many thrillers. Fun. I don't watch many. It was funny. It was somewhat enjoyable. I didn't hate this movie like you did. I'm not like, this is not a movie made for me. I don't like thrillers. And this is where I'm really going to upset you. Really going to upset you with this. But this is absolutely true. I like this more than your precious Run, which is the last thriller I saw before this.
What is Run?
You love your Run. What do you mean, what is Run? Exactly, what is Run?
With,
very forgettable.
How dare you, with Sarah Paulson?
Very forgettable.
Oh,
yes.
Anderson, that is offensive.
Tropes all the way through.
Yeah, this movie does have tropes all the way through. I agree.
Both.
But that is offensive. Hold on a second. Now, hold on. Okay, you've upset me by comparing this favorite movie to Run. And I will upset you by saying the only reason you're being nice to this movie is because someone assigned it to us.
That's absolutely. I mean,
if I assigned you this movie, you would be outraged. You would threaten to quit.
Just like I was with Run.
No, stop it.
No, not stop it. You don't. So you really don't believe me, as I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, that I like this movie more than I liked Run. I thought Run was ridiculous. I thought the premise of Run was absurd. Oh, I had a baby that died at birth, and it would have been cripple. If I shouldn't have said cripple. Cripple's wrong. Sorry. It would have been handicapped. It's a handicap. Whatever. Shit. What am I supposed to say? It would have been
crip.
Oh shit. No. What is the word? Whatever. Hey, would have had some problems, would have had issues with life. Well, I'm going to go out and adopt a child and make that child have the exact same. What the fuck is that kind of a reasoning? Who writes something like that? That makes no sense at all.
That to me is just as believable as this movie, which is to say, moderately.
This movie is trying to paint a picture, and it's a foreign director.
It's a German director. In a crowded diner.
Yeah. It's a German director. Hey, we're thin on police, as you may know. Defund the police, Brent. It's a German director, and this is his view of America and just how bad it's gotten with the stress and the divorces and the alimony and the palimony and the traffic. All right, this is his take on it.
I suspected that you were being nice to the last movie that was not so good.
I don't like this movie. This is a 3-star movie, Brian. This is a 3-star movie.
That's 3 too many.
No, I give it a full star just for the amount of time that it's spent on the road and how hard that is.
I think the listeners know what's going on. You would lose your mind if I assigned this to you.
No, I would not lose my mind.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't lose my mind any more than I have with you when you assign me movies like Run or documentaries that I don't like. I had so much more fun watching this than I did with Aretha. Holy shit, that I love this compared to Aretha. You know me, and you assign me movies thinking that I'm going to like them, which is way more offensive than assigning me a popcorn movie that we normally wouldn't ever talk about.
I should have asked this establishing question at the beginning. Did Tam assign this to us because she was hoping we would rip on it, like have fun with it, or does she genuinely like this movie?
She knows that we don't talk about this type of movie very often, and she knows that we had not seen it because a lot of the movies that she's seen are movies that we've already talked about. I went over all of this at the top of the program. You don't make this very easy. I mean, you know what? Starting now, you're going to start talking to the listeners, and you're going to start talking to the everyone. Yeah, because I want you to have these questions and you to do something, because it's maddening that you would say that I'm doing this just to appease the listeners, and you are so hands off, like you're on your little pedestal in your ivory tower over there.
I'd rather not know anything.
No, well, bad news, Brian. You are going to from now on.
I have no interest.
Well, then I guess no one's talking to our Patreon listeners.
There's a scene in traffic where Russell Crowe he's driving like a Dodge Ram or some huge.
It's a big truck.
It's a big truck.
Yeah, he also had a Southern accent. I mean, this is like a foreign man's take on what it must be like to almost be on the brink of coming unhinged in America.
and he's behind. By the way, very effective. This movie is a very effective ad for Volvo. Like her fucking Volvo wagon withstands a lot of punishment. To wit, she's in traffic, dead stop traffic, and here comes Russell Crowe behind her, and she's being terrorized by him. He's unhinged, I understand, and she's being terrorized by him. And he begins to repeatedly ram her car, not like dinking it, like backing up, putting it in fucking full drive, and ramming her car repeatedly, and nobody.
He was giving her heavy taps, and she was trying to get attention of people. This is one of the scenes that I brought up with Tam, and I said that was a ridiculous scene. I'm sitting in traffic quite often, and you notice if someone gets tapped next to you. I said they should have had the people. What would have been better for that scene to work is everyone should have been completely checked out on their phones, listening to music on their phones, lip syncing some song or something. There was plenty of opportunity to have fun with that particular scene, and it's funny you bring that up. Another nitpick, if you like, Brian, is the license plates. I've never seen license plates so fake in a movie, especially a road movie. It was kind of weird, but like the license plates, instead of being from states, they said things like "drive safe" instead of like where it would say California at the top. Right. And then the woman in the gas station, who works behind the counter, and she goes, "Are you all right, miss?" Because she's in there getting gas, and then she sees that Unhinged is parked behind her at the gas pump, and she goes, "Yeah, that man behind who's parked out there, he's following me. He's very upset." And then the lady who works there, she goes, "Oh, he's road raging." I don't think anyone would ever say that.
No, that's never been uttered in life.
He's road raging.
You are onto something. I will give you 100% credit. This movie should have been more fun. There are more opportunities for fun. Like this movie could have been a dark comedy, and that would have been. We're going to talk about a movie that did achieve that. I think like it took a sort of bizarrely comedic route and succeeded. And this one is kind of caught in the middle, where it's trying to be a thriller, but it's not thrilling.
But you know what? So Brian was chirping at me before I saw this movie, and he saw it before I did, and he was chirping. And I was sitting down. I was prepared for like the biggest joke of a movie, and it's not good. It's a 3-star movie, but it's not what Brian's making it out to be, which is just utter, absolute, and total trash. And I'm not saying that because Tam. No, I'm saying 3 out of 5.
That's above average.
What's that?
That's above average.
No, it's right in the middle, right smack dab in the middle, Brian.
2.5.
What do you mean above average?
2.5 would be in the middle.
Oh, Christ, I hate you so much. No, because you don't give zeros on this.
I give.
If you gave zeros, it's right there in the middle. It's a neither here nor there movie. It's not the kind of movie that I would. But you know what? Every single time I've been in the car since, I've been thinking of Unhinged. Oh yeah. Not in a scared way, kind of in a funny way. Like the last 2 things that really bother me with any kind of movie that is just paint by numbers, which this absolutely is. And that's the kid. She's got a kid, and he's into Minecraft. Is it Mind or Mine? Not even a Mine. Minecraft. And he's talking to his dad about it. And then the mom's like, oh, well, I want to hear about Minecraft. And the kid's like, well, you won't understand. And mom's like, try me. And then he's like, well, there's this defense where if you distract over here. And I'm like, oh, look, they're mapping out something they're going to do later to get away from Unhinged, obviously. And then, of course, 40 minutes later, right on cue, there it is. She's like, remember that thing in Minecraft? Let's try it. It's like, oh, fuck me.
There was Chekhov's scissors at one point. Like, well, that's going to come into play.
And then finally, without getting anything away, the final denouement, the very end scene, without giving anything away, I'll just say the honking incident. To honk or not to honk? I mean, you can see that coming from 1,000 miles away, and things like that infuriate me with movies. But it's not. They're making this movie to make its money back. I understand that. They're making this movie for the foreign markets who are going to buy it because Russell Crowe's in it, and they're going to see it, and they're going to enjoy it. They're making this movie for people who don't watch many movies, but they like a good thrill ride every now and again, and this will be thrilling to people, right? This will be a bit of a thrill ride. People will be able to put themselves in her shoes and go, oh my God, I've had people honk at me and chase me down on the road, and I know her fear, and they're going to enjoy it.
Well, maybe we'll, do we pay for this, or is it streaming somewhere? I didn't write it down.
I paid for it.
Okay, I paid for it too, I think.
$3, I think.
So, listeners, if you want to check it out and perhaps be part of the fanflection in the future. Oh, we didn't do that, by the way. We got to do that.
Ah, shit.
Then please let us know what you thought of this. I cannot recommend this. It's not even silly enough to be a recommendation. At one point, like, her son's in danger, so she goes and like takes him out of school, and they drive away. It's like, wouldn't the safest place be at school where the cops are like descending on the school en masse because this guy's like known to the cops, like he killed a cop or whatever? Mm-hmm. It's one of those movies.
A little silly.
As Anderson likes to say, it wasn't for me.
It was not.
This was not made for me.
Thrillers aren't. I'm not a thriller guy. Thrillers another blind spot. I just don't like thrillers. I don't like horror movies. I don't like thrillers. I'm rarely thrilled. I like different types of movies. But I try and watch good thrillers top 5 thrillers of the last 10 years.
Not bad. Tam, I don't mean to shit on the movie that you assigned us, although I have to imagine you assigned this intentionally bad movie for a reason, in which case, mission accomplished. I did not enjoy it, but I watched it and I gave it lots of notes and lots of thoughts. So thank you very much for being a Patreon signer, and hopefully come back to us, because you see a lot of movies, probably more than I do, with something maybe
doesn't say much at all. And going back to the Brian can talk to the to our Patreon listeners who are at Assigner level or Decider level. I'm joking. I would not do that to you guys. I will continue to. And I really enjoy talking to the listeners. I really do. I mark it on my calendar, and I look forward to touching base with the people. That's same thing with answering emails. However, I am very behind on emails. So try and keep your emails shorter or to the point. Don't be sending me 30-minute or 23-minute YouTube videos to watch. DJ, I don't have time. Geo, sorry, buddy.
Oh, this could be taken care of off the air. You're settling your scores.
No, I'm not settling my scores. I'm letting everyone know, and I'm just using a couple examples.
I want to hear the fanflection.
Fanfliction. Thanks very much to Mitch Burns, puts this together for us each and every week. This is where listeners can let the show know what you have seen since the last show, and within the last week. Mitch, minor fuck up on his part, which you let me know, or this is all of the fanfliction comes from Facebook, from our Facebook, the Film Vault Facebook, this week, because he posted to his personal Twitter by mistake rather than on the show. But usually, if you tweet at the Film Vault, or go on Instagram at Anderson and Brian, or Facebook, which is where all of them come from this week. And here we go, a little fanfliction. Bruce Perky, my boy. Love him, Bruce. Bruce is also the guy who made our listener art this week for next episode. So more on that later. Saint Maud is what Bruce Perky saw. Way too slow for many people, but if you like a slow, decent descent into possible madness, similar vibes to Repulsion, then this might be for you. Don't be fooled. This is not a possession or demonic movie in the least. And this has a final moment, and I do mean moment that is a doozy. All right.
Which film is this?
Saint Maud.
What is it again?
Saint Maud, which a lot of people have been excited about. It's another one that got pushed and pushed and pushed. It was supposed to come out, I think, last April. Back. Will Jacobs III, also on Facebook, saw a movie called Psycho Goreman, over the top and right up my alley. I thought it was what would happen if Guar made a movie and afterward found out that one of them actually worked on it. I think just the poster, but I could be wrong there. Will Jacobs 3 on Psycho Goreman. Thank you for that. Ismail Lemus, Tenet. Ismail gives us many, many movies that he's seen since last week. Tenet, dope on Blu-ray. So you got to follow, all right? Dope. He's done this. He did this before, I think. 1,000 Words, not dope on Netflix. 28 Days. Why would you? Not dope on Netflix.
28 Days is good. You didn't like it?
Brian.
What, you're talking about the Danny Boyle film? I like 28 Days.
No, that's 28 Days Later.
No, there's a sequel.
War Dogs. No, it's 28 months later. War Dogs. Dope. Netflix. Mr. Right. Dope. Netflix. The Eichmann Show. Dope on Netflix. And then finally, Ocean's 11. Dope. Ocean's 12. Not dope. Ocean's 13. Dope on Netflix.
Interesting.
And then finally, Brian Wines on Twitter. I wonder if that's I don't know if you're talking about you.
It hurts.
The Climb. Brian saw The Climb. Brian Wimes on Twitter from last week. The Climb, liked it a lot. This is what the humor of Thunder Road was trying to be, but missed the mark, in my opinion. In and of itself, enjoyed it. Not really sure how to describe it to others, so it's a bit hard to sell when recommending it to people, though. How dare you on Thunder Road? Movies close to perfect.
I like The Climb better than Thunder Road, but I like them both.
And then I believe this is Mitch. Mitch saw The Personal History of David Copperfield, which I hadn't heard of until the Globes gave Patel a nomination recently. What a fun movie, full of heart and interest in characters played by some of our greatest actors. I've never read David Copperfield, but I really enjoyed this. Yes, that's one that I've been wanting to see. I've been waiting for that to bubble up somewhere, and it hasn't. It's still completely off the radar, but it got released in August, I think.
When do Oscar nominations come out? Oscar nominations.
I think April.
I know it's later this year. It would normally be right around now. Oscar nominations announced March 15th. Same day I'm eligible to get my vaccination shot.
28 Days is the Sandra Bullock, Viggo Mortensen movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about how she's trying to get sold.
Oh, that is a bad movie. That is not dope. Good call.
All right. Next movie, Brian. What's up?
Should we take a break? Because actually...
we should take a break. Yeah.
This leads us nicely into our... well, you'll see. Coming up next, we will talk about some more Flick Fashions after this. I want to say thank you to our listeners. We're bad at this. How many times a year, Anderson, do we, after the fact, typically it's me, but do we, after the fact, like, oh, it was Mother's Day. Oh, it was whatever day. We should have probably mentioned that on our Amazon read so people can, get their stuff through our banner on Amazon, AndersonandBrian.com. And I want to thank the listeners who had the wherewithal to get Valentine's Day items. Someone got a Kayla's Cake Premium French macaroons, and someone got Godiva Valentine's Assorted Chocolate Gold Gift Box. I assume there was a lot purchased, or hopefully a number of items purchased through our Amazon click-through banner. But thank you for taking the time and having the wherewithal.
And Valentine's Day is just 11 and a half short months away. So keep us in mind for
Mark your calendar
when you're clicking through on Amazon. Yeah,
a week ahead of time. Other things purchased on the Amazon banner that sits atop AndersonandBrian.com include someone got 2 LCD OLED full LCD screen compatible with MacBook Pros. 2 screens, 2. Enfamil Guy is back. Enfamil Inspire Gentlease Infant Formula was picked up. An Asus Wi-Fi 6 gaming mesh router. Avenger portable air conditioner. Why on earth would you need that right now when half the country is freezing to death? But
probably
someone
got good deals right now.
That's probably actually a good point. Someone's thinking ahead. God, your listeners are so smart. Vask men's Breeze hiking boots. An Apple TV 4K 32 gig was picked up. 1,000 MedPride medical vinyl examination gloves. Fezabo height adjustable standing desk. Barina LED grow light. Someone got an Amazon Eero 6 dual band mesh Wi-Fi 6 router. Apparently that's the newest one, so good on you. Avalon 2-stage replacement filters. Viozon tablet floor stand. I guess you want to have your tablet up of where you stand. That's where you got to get. HP DeskJet compact all-in-one wireless printer was purchased. Someone got a copy of Explain Pain. I don't know if that is maybe they're in PT school. Maybe they're a physical therapist. Maybe they're an acupuncturist. Either way, thank you for getting that through us.
1 minute.
L-Tab, a height adjustable monitor desk mount, and a laptop monitor mount stand with keyboard tray were both purchased. People getting ready for the long haul, got to work from home. AirShot tubeless tire inflator. Super Mario World 3D plus a Bowser's Fury for Nintendo Switch. Also a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Gotta have them both. Black and red twin wire hardcover notebook. And a Bayou Classic stainless steel stock pot with perforated basket. Nailed.
Great, Brad. 20 seconds.
I just want to take this time to say thank you to our Amazon customers who continue to use our banner at topandersonandbrian.com to purchase things like routers and stainless steel stock pots, notebooks, all sorts of things. We appreciate it. And back to you, Anderson.
3, 2.
For movies.
Here are the movies that were click-throughs. This is the last time I talked at you. 5 people, count them, 5 people got The Climb, which, people continue to like. However,
I enjoyed.
I read another negative comment today.
Not everyone's going to love it.
Saying, don't listen to them. Not a good movie. Don't waste your time.
It is good. It's a fun movie.
Dare you? Breakfast at Tiffany's was clicked through, as well as Before Sunrise, Silent Hill, The Girl Who Played with Fire, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, The Girl Who Played with Fire, The Girl in the Spider's Web. Is that the full title of that one? Deep Blue Sea, which is one of Brian's favorites. Wayne's World, Marley and Me, Drinking Buddies, Rush, The Devil and Daniel Johnson, Fuck to the Yes, The Raid 2, Fuck to the Yes. Let me restart that fucking, oh God, we need a producer in the worst way. Sleeping with Other People, Murder by Decree, Christina, Fuck to the Yes, Christina, Dark, Dogtooth, Fuck to the Yes, Uncut Gems, Fuck to the Yes. Impractical Jokers, the movie, the last movie that I saw in theaters before Tenet. The Hunt for Red October. That was just a really, really bad joke, right? The universe laid on me. Like the last movie that I saw in theaters was Impractical Jokers.
Hurtful. Oh, it cuts deep.
The Hunt for Red October was clicked through, as well as Contact, Requiem for a Dream, yes, Leon the Professional, Fuck to the Yes, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, The Wicker Man, Misery, Women in Love, Horrors of Malformed Men, Notorious, RoboCop, The Passion of Darkly. What is that? The Passion of Darkly Noon. What are you doing to me, Brian?
I didn't buy it.
You highlighted it. The Elephant Man, 3 films by Luis Buñuel. Yes, sweet. Phantom of Liberty, The Obscure Object of Desire. I saw that one. And The Discreet Charm of Bourgeois.
Of the bourgeoisie.
About Brian's life. Of the Bourgeois. Southland. The music. Fuck it. I'm letting it go. Southland Tales. The Khan's Cut. Can only imagine.
They walked out. 20-minute ovation.
And finally, Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar. See how it rhymes?
Are we gonna have to see that?
I wasn't even. Probably. Well, I mean, you will, because you like a good little boy, obedient little academy boy. Oh, are you up for an award? I will see you. I will see you. I got an academy. I got you.
What, you think it's gonna be up for Oscars?
That's the only way. That's the only way we could see it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it's no Unhinged, but I hear good things.
You know what, Brian? Unhinged, like it didn't anger me. Like it sounds like it might have angered you. Like it didn't. The tropes angered me. The paint by numbers angered me. But there's a lot of movies that I see and I get pissed about. Like I'm like, what in the world? I get it. It wasn't made by the most. I bet it made its money back.
Probably.
Man, it didn't anger me. Like there's movies out there. Like Michael Bay angers me. Like he angers me. I wasn't angered by.
Are you angered by art?
You know how I might be angered by Unhinged is if like people were going like. If they were unhinged about it, if people were just fucking stoked on it and going, oh my God, this movie's the greatest, then I would be angry. I'd be like, what are you talking about? It's not great. But it didn't piss me off.
Yeah, it didn't piss me off either. I was more amused by the absurdity of it, but I wasn't mad.
It seems like you were mad. It seems like you were very upset with Tam for Assigner.
No, not at all. Far from it. Let's get back to the show, though.
Seems like you were pretty pissed.
The show. Sessions standalone episode. Anderson, you want to take a diversion and talk about the movies we saw individually, or you want to get back on the horse here? Because our listener just fanflick.
Go back on the horse.
Fanflick Fest. Yeah. Psycho Goreman. Psycho Goreman.
Not even gonna extend me a courtesy tap.
Psycho Goreman.
Not even gonna extend me a courtesy tap there, Brian.
What's a courtesy tap?
From Unhinged.
Oh,
that's how it all began.
Right. That's right. The honk. Yeah.
Come on, bro.
I was trying to get that with Gorman. I'm like, well, I don't remember that at all.
Psycho Goreman.
Let's do it. Goreman is written and directed 2021 film, written and directed by Steven Kostanski. He notably was in the makeup department on The Divide, a film that not great, but comes up on this show once in a while. This stars Nita Josie Hannah as Mimi. Owen Meyer as her brother Luke. Mimi is probably, 9 or 10 years old. Owen Meyer plays her brother Luke. Adam Brooks, a good dad, by the way. Adam Brooks, Alexis Karahanzi.
He's a what? What? A good dad?
Well, he's a good dad.
He is?
Do you think he's a good dad?
He was a shit dad and a horrible husband.
Well, he was okay. He gains redemption by being a great dad. He follows his daughter into battle, for God's sake.
All right. Okay.
Matthew Nineveh as the titular Psycho Goreman, and Stephen Vallejos as Psycho Goreman's voice. It is not the same person doing. It is sort of a Darth Vader situation. The actor inside the suit and Psycho Goreman. Anderson, set the table on Psycho.
So there's two little kids, right? Brother and sister.
I will point out I knew nothing going into this movie. I clicked on the link you sent me, and away we went. Didn't even bother Googling it. Didn't even bother Googling it.
I had seen the trailer before, so I had a pretty good idea of what I was getting myself into, but I didn't know how it would go down. I didn't know how I would respond to it. So it opens up with a brother and sister tandem. They're probably like 10, 11 years old, right? And you can tell they're competitive. The girl has a lot of attitude. The boy does not. The boy is kind of like second banana to her.
I should point out Anderson assigned this movie to me.
Yes. And they had this game that they play. Speaking of some telegraphed tropiness where we knew that game was probably going to come up later in the movie, but that's okay because that's what kind of movie this is. I mean, this movie is a trope of the 80s, of every 80s movie you've seen.
Very self-aware.
Yes. So and then they find there's some kind of commotion in the backyard, and there's a meteor or some kind of crater. Right? Or are they digging?
No, they digging, America, because the rule of the game is if you lose this ridiculous, basically a version of dodgeball, if you lose, you got to dig your own grave and you'll be buried alive. It's just kid hijinks. The kids are like, what, like 9 and 12 or something?
They're like 10, probably like 9, 10. Yeah. And so the brother and sister, they're digging, and then they find this medallion. They find this thing that's attached to this giant creature who presents himself.
Well, they dig up this medallion, like Anderson said. It's glowing. It's an orb. It's been buried, almost 6 feet below the earth. And they take it inside. And while they're inside, this is a movie that is what it knows what it is. It's you get the hand that in the middle of the night, the hand that bursts up through the earth. That's right. The hand.
My apologies. I took very few notes on this, and I saw it over a week ago now, so I don't remember the whole setup, and I still was not in at this point. But don't let this make you believe that I did not like this movie because I can't remember the setup. So perhaps you should take the setup from here.
Okay, so I'll just finish.
Gorman presents himself.
I'll just finish the first act, which is the kids have this glowing orb. You know, this thing the size of a baseball, basically, or tennis ball, that's glowing red, and they're going to school. They're doing the whole thing, and all of a sudden, you know, this monster, basically a sort of outer space version of the creature from the Black Lagoon, sort of presents itself like, I am here to destroy you, blah, 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 blah. And then they show that the girl reveals this orb, and he's like, you have the so-and-so orb of Galacticus. I must obey everything you said. It basically becomes a Terminator 2 setup where like the machine has to follow the orders of the kid because of some rule about the orb. And that leads to some hilarity, as you can imagine, this 9-year-old girl. And I should point out, Anderson, the kids are legit funny. Like the girl, especially who plays Mimi, Nita Josie Hanna, is hysterical. Like she's a great comedic actress. I laughed at her throughout the movie. At one point, her mom's tucking her into bed like 5 minutes in the movie. He's like, oh, did you have a good game of Kooky Ball? And she goes, it's Crazy Ball. Like she is a funny actress. She made me laugh the entire time. At one point, her brother brings home a friend for dinner, a very good-looking little boy named Ethan or whatever his name is, and she obviously has a crush on him. She goes, "Why don't you give us a spin, hunky boy?" I laughed at the girl.
Oh, I missed that. She said spin,
why don't you give us a spin, hunky boy?
I like it.
It's good.
Yeah, she had a lot of very funny throwaway line. Alistair was his name.
Bye.
The bye was great. I was doing that on an Addie and Andy just a few weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, that's what I was doing. I should show this to Atticus. Oh, wait, I can't.
She keeps insulting her brother by calling him fat. He's not the least bit fat. In fact, if anything, he's a little bit skinny. She keeps calling him fat.
She's a sociopath, and
She's
it's perfect
hysterical.
because she gets this medallion, and she can control this otherworldly being that is supposed to be the most evil, reviled, powerful creature in the entire universe.
He keeps threatening her like, well, if you as soon as I get that orb, I'm going to bathe in your blood. And she's like,
it's the best.
Like,
it's the best because the whole setup is she doesn't give a shit because she knows she has power. She's all about power position. She has power over this guy. And the guy isn't like, oh, yes, you have it, so I will kiss your ass now. Like, there's no ass kissing. He's just begrudgingly following the rules.
He's aware of the fact that he wants her dead and he would like to destroy her, but he can't.
So the whole setup is great. There are some definitely callbacks and similarities to T2, as Brian alluded to, but it is its own thing enough that it is very funny throughout. I was laughing very hard within the first act where they kind of leave him in this warehouse, and these guys that are like they're thieves essentially, and that's like their meeting place. So they show up, and then they see Psycho Goreman for the first time, and he just destroys all of them. That's the first time that we actually see like his actual powers. And he tells this one guy that he's gonna, we've heard it all before. It's almost like religious sermons, like you will feel pain, the worst pain you've ever felt for all of eternity, and then you're like, oh, okay, whatever. But then we go back to that later, like we see what he's done with these guys, and like
it's horrifying.
The one guy, like he says his body parts are like much like something you would have seen in Silence of the Lambs. Like he actually made like a mural art piece out of this guy's various body parts. You can see it. They don't even spend much time on it. It's just kind of in the background on the chain link fence. You can see that he had some good time using that guy's body parts to make art. And then the guy who he said was going to feel like the worst pain of that known to man for all of eternity is he's in this kind of this frozen state where he cannot move,
he's zombified.
But his eyeballs are rolling backwards, so they're just spinning backwards.
like slot machines.
Like slot machines, yes. And then when he gets knocked over and just explodes on the ground, and Psycho Goreman's quite upset. My masterpiece! It's really funny. Now, the wife...
Say what happens.
And then we see this guy's who just exploded on the ground. We see his mouth kind of moving on the ground, saying
his disembodied mouth is all that's left. Is thank you.
Yeah, so it's this kind of movie. If you like Gwar, you have any kind of reference point that is Gwar. There definitely similarities. One of the people that was involved with Gwar was involved with this movie. These guys have been making movies of this type shoestring budget, but very good. This is not a Trauma movie, even though I think it might have been released via Trauma. This is not what I think of when I think of Trauma. This movie is very enjoyable. I can't stand most Trauma movies.
I'm so glad you said that, Anderson, because this is the type of movie, i.e., Trauma films, that repulse me. I'm like, I don't like this. I'm not enjoying it. I don't like the jokes. I don't like what they're trying to pull over on me. Like, get it out of my face. I really enjoyed this movie.
This one's very enjoyable. Worn my cockles many times. And you just feel like you're seeing the dollar being stretched in very creative ways. They're doing all sorts of things that nobody else would dare to do. And apparently they've made like a number of movies. The Void. There's like 3 or 4 movies that they made before this that I now must see. So you'll be hearing more about these guys and other movies they made. Oh, yeah. Because apparently my buddy Garth, who's a big fan of these guys, he says that he loved PG, but he's like, if you like PG, wait till you see some of the other ones because it's, I guess, in the same vein.
So the dad character is lazy and just played for laughs, and he's kind of a schlub, and he's a bit of a mope. He's kind of a sad sack almost, but he's a good dad at the end of the day. Like, he supports his kids, and he literally goes into like battle with his daughter.
He's very lazy.
He's very lazy, but he has redemption. I thought he's a good dad at the end of the day.
He's the epitome of like every woman's fear of like the worst type of husband, how he does nothing right. Like, this guy actually follows through and does nothing right. I'm just talking about the husband side of things. Now, speaking of wives and betrothing and couples, I have this move, Brian, where the wife goes to sleep around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then I go out in the front room and I watch a movie with the headphones on the big screen, and I plug it into my beautiful TCL TV into the remote. We got the remote, so I can listen to it. Doesn't disturb the wife or the boy, and I can knock out a movie. That's how I see 2-3 movies a week. She was having she gets some anxiety sometimes at night, so she asked if I would watch it in the bedroom. So I'm like, sweet, put on your mask and I'll watch it in bed with you. This didn't go over too well because she kept waking up and asking if there was an earthquake because I was laughing so hard in the bed with her numerous times, like really laughing hard. It's that kind of movie, and there's just not that many movies that I respond to this way, this favorably, that are of this quality and of this budget. This one really sings.
This could have gone wrong in so many ways.
It was really well cast, as Brian alluded to, and it's clever up and down all the way through, right to the very end. It was just very fun all the way through. I really like. I think it's worth $4 or $5 to rent. I would imagine it's going to be available streaming eventually, but definitely write this one down. Make a mental note if you like schlocky, fun, clever humor, because that's what this thing is. I would call it clever humor, right?
No, absolutely. The humor is by and large very clever. I would face you in any contest. Name your contest.
You know what? It kind of scratches the same itch, it tickles that same funny bone as Death does in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the most recent one, Bill and Ted Face the Music. Their relationship with death, it's kind of similar, of the same kind of humor. Interesting.
Yeah, I enjoyed it way, way, way more than I probably even should have. So that was a fun movie.
Father's Day is the one that I had actually heard about from 2011. A lot of people were saying Father's Day, and I just passed because it looks like a horror movie. But Father's Day, and then The Void, and I'm not sure about Leprechaun Returns, but I know Father's Day and The Void are 2 movies, and maybe Manborg. These are movies, all 3 movies that Steven Kostanski directed, and these are movies. At least a couple of them I will watch. All right.
Where can Psycho Goreman be accessed? Because I saw it on Link. I'm wondering where our listeners can see it.
Well, I mean, there's a website that you and I both use called Just Watch, and you can rent it on Amazon for $7 for the HD. It's a $7 rental which is a lot.
Considering that, Barb and Star is going for $20. This is a worthy of $7. It's like a Sunday matinee.
I would have seen this. We didn't even talk about Psycho Goreman's nemesis and the panel. What
happened to poor Alistair?
Yeah, the Senate, essentially, the Galactic Senate that is against him and trying to track him down, and the ultimate battle that occurs at the end. This is all very practical low rent effects, but it works. It's perfect. It stays in its lane, and it knows what it's doing. Like Brian said, very self-aware. And if they had big effects in here, it wouldn't work nearly as well. This is the perfect type of movie.
But the girl is so
as
good.
Far as the girl was very, very good. She was good. Only a couple times did she kind of bug me, and I'm like, yeah, they could have got more out of her right there. But for the most part, like, she nailed every single line.
Yeah.
Huge recommendation on that Psycho Goreman. Love this movie. We'll always love this
Psycho
movie.
Goreman.
Yeah. All right, I get
Poor
it.
Alistair.
It's Goreman. Poor Alistair. And I was wondering, I was hoping, I was thinking they were probably going to like this one, but I was worried about Alistair and how Alistair got transformed into something else, and no one seemed to care at school or anything. I was afraid to get hung up on something like that.
That was the whole credit sequence.
Joke. What?
That was the whole end credit sequence.
Yeah, but it took a while, and I didn't think you'd see that because as soon as the movie's over, you don't watch any
That's
credits.
true.
You just turn
That's
it
true.
off. Yeah, it is true. It's absolutely 100% true. It's very disrespectful to the filmmaker.
I usually,
All right,
what I do, I
Brian?
turn it off and I yell, bye.
Bye. What else you see?
I want to do a short flick fashion on this because I don't know who won gambling this week. Hopefully me. And if it's me, I can assign this to you. But
I would imagine not you.
I think we were tied last week. But anyway, I saw a really good movie on Netflix that I haven't heard anyone talking about, which is weird because it's a good movie and it's big production values. And I would assume this is sort of a crowd pleaser to an extent. The White Tiger. Have you seen The White Tiger, Anderson?
I have not.
Oh, have you heard of The White Tiger?
Yes, I've heard of The White
The
Tiger.
White Tiger is a 2021 film written and directed by Ramin Barani. He directed 99 Homes with, Michael Shannon. And
That's a 3-star movie.
yes, he also directed a less than 3-star movie for HBO called 451 Fahrenheit, which I watched and declined to flick fest. However, Anderson, I am fascinated now because in doing my research, this man, Ramin Barani, he directed a 2007 film called Chop Shop, ranked by Roger Ebert when he was alive as the number 6 film of the decade. I was not aware of Chop Shop. Have you seen Chop Shop?
I don't think. No, I know I haven't seen it, but if you asked me what Chop Shop was, I would have told you it was like Leviathan, but I'm wrong, I guess, because there's no way that guy who made The White Tiger made anything like that.
Apparently, I looked it up on our favorite website, Just Watch, and it's not streaming. So I am very interested, listeners, if you have access to or know where one can view Chop Shop. I would like to see it, knowing it was the number 6 film of the decade, according to Roger Ebert. He may have been in the grips of chemotherapy and radiation, but still, that's quite the praise. The White Tiger, however, 91% on Netflix. I'm Rotten Tomatoes, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Streaming on Netflix. You can watch this right now if you're a Netflix subscriber. So this is the story of there's a wealthy couple in India. She's American, he's Indian. She's of Indian descent, and they met in the States at college, right? And now they moved back to India to manage like his family's affairs, finances. They're a very wealthy family, and this is there's parallels with Parasite. There's also parallels with Slumdog Millionaire. This is a lot about class/caste system. So this our main character, Adarsh, is the actor's name, Adarsh Gurav. He plays Balram. I don't want to confuse people with all the names, but our main character, he's like he's just a gutter kid. He lives in the slums. No one thinks much of him, but he's very ambitious, and he wants to become the number 2 driver for this family. And the number 2 driver obviously interested in the number 1 driver. The number 1 driver does most of their time driving. Number 2 driver in India apparently spends a lot of time washing windows, washing feet. He's literally washing the bare feet of this family. He's borderline slave, borderline indentured servant. I mean, he's paid minimum wages. I assume, some pittance. He's physically abused. He's barely acknowledged. You can sort of see where this, class system falls down. It ends up becoming much sadder and darker than I anticipated. I thought this was going to be like sort of a Slumdog Millionaire kind of fun, almost, not zany, but like hyperactive look at this class system. And it was actually much darker and in some ways sadder. The main character, he works for for, well, what I would call a sociopath, and becomes kind of a...
Hey guys, just to let everyone know, if you're planning on watching this White Tiger, I have no control because I don't know what Brian's giving away and what's...
No,
what
I'm not giving away anything about the plot. I'm just describing the movie. Just describing it as, dark, and there's some pathos in there. There's some fourth wall breaking that I don't really think is necessary. It's kind of a stylistic choice that I might have left out. It's a strong enough movie on its own. I recommend The White Tiger. I don't want to talk too much about it, especially if Anderson hasn't seen it. But The White Tiger is solid. Don't know if it'll be up for any Oscars, but this is a solid movie. I would recommend it on Netflix. The White Tiger.
The White Tiger. All right, Brian, check your email inbox too. I sent you a link to the Chop Shop.
Oh, you did?
It's just Chop Shop, not the Chop Shop. Yeah. Took me all of maybe 15 seconds to find it on YouTube.
Well, I don't want to watch it on YouTube. I want to watch a good version.
There's plenty of good versions of things on YouTube. God damn, you're an old man. You are so fucking old, Brian.
I'm watching it right now. Go ahead and talk about your other movie.
It's unbelievable. I'm looking at it, and it's a fine version.
I'm watching it right now.
I'd say that's at least 720. At least.
I'm going to watch over the next hour and 24 minutes.
That'd be pretty sweet. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. I saw a film. This is a movie that I've been excited about seeing for a while. It's been bandied about. It's just screened at Sundance a couple weeks ago. It will be eligible for nominations at the Oscars. So that means Brian might have to see it because it might be nominated for things, and I would imagine it will be nominated for things, and that is Judas and the Black Messiah. Judas and the Black Messiah, directed by Shaka King, starring Daniel Kaluuya as Fred Hampton, and then we got Lakeith Stanfield. Lakeith plays Bill O'Neill, and then we have Jesse Plemons,
my favorite part of the movie,
who plays Roy Mitchell, FBI agent Roy Mitchell. And this is based on the true life story of Fred Hampton and how he was infiltrated by a snitch, essentially, and Bill O'Neill, who was an FBI informant set up by Jesse Plemons to be the FBI informant. I should also mention that J. Edgar Hoover is playing by Martin Sheen, maybe the weakest part of the whole movie, because you're just like, look at Martin Sheen with all that weird makeup on to make him look like not Martin Sheen, but he sounds just like Martin Sheen still. He belongs in a Tim Burton Batman movie more than he does in this biopic. This is where Brian would give the Rotten Tomatoes and all that. I think it's pretty high in Rotten Tomatoes.
No, we gambled on this 2 weeks ago. It was like 98% or something.
Less important to me, not that all that exciting.
96 as of right now.
This is a movie that I really enjoyed, and as being like a white guy in America, I was not very much like Dolomite Is My Name, which we saw last year, which was one of my favorite movies of the year. Dolomite was new to you and I, and to many, many white people in this country. But it's funny, you talk to your black friends and they're like, oh, how have you never heard of Dolomite? Dolomite's like part of my childhood. Like Dolomite, there's many, many things where there's like black Twitter and white Twitter, and there's black culture and white culture, and there's things that you just don't learn in the history books. And if you're not black and you're not brought up black, you just don't hear about these things unless you're actively seeking them out. And if you're like me and you don't read too much, you wait for a movie, a biopic to come along that kind of sums everything up for you. And that's exactly what this is. I knew very little about Fred Hampton, the founder and leader of the Black Panther Party. And this movie does a very, very good job of laying the whole history out, showing you what it was all about, showing you what was going on in both sides of the ring, and very likable characters. Both Lakeith Stanfield, who plays the snitch, and Bill O'Neill, he's always very good. We like Lakeith in everything. And same with Daniel Kaluuya, who got all that recognition. He kind of came on the scene with Get Out a couple years ago. If I want to nitpick, I'll nitpick and say he's great in the lead role as Fred Hampton, the leader of the Black Panthers. But it kind of bums me out that they didn't get an American dude. But I mean, where do you draw the line? Like, where do you draw the line? I had the same thing with Harriet from last year. Like, Harriet Tubman was played by a British woman. You'd think that with it being such an important part of our history and the fabric of America, we could get somebody who actually is from that lineage, from this country. But, it's like, I don't know. I try not to. I'm nitpicking here because they were both fan-fucking-tastic. Jesse Plemons was he's perfect in this role as kind of the guy who just doesn't give a shit. He's so great. For those of you who watch Breaking Bad, he's almost playing a version of that guy he's just almost sociopathic. I think what they were going for was just kind of white ignorance on as far as what was going on, and FBI is their stance was the Black Panthers were terrorists. And you know what? I did not grow up in this era. I don't have firsthand knowledge. I have to kind of go off of what is being fed to me here. But from all accounts, and then they actually show some footage of Fred Hampton at the end, and he seemed like a very, very, from the quick little snippet, he seemed like a very, very ingratiating, likable guy that you would want to follow. So they also get into what I have problems with movies that I call divisive, that you also call divisive, like we saw earlier with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. White characters are all the same and they're very one-dimensional. And this movie, Judas and the Black Messiah, definitely showed range with the white character. Because I don't like it when two wrongs are supposed to make a right. It's like, yes, the history has shown that, especially in television that I was raised on, essentially TV from the 70s that was playing reruns during the day when I was a kid and latchkey kid, and I was watching TV, whatever I wanted during the day. I'd see a lot of like shows that were made for the 70s. Yeah, every single perp was a black guy running down the street. And when you're trying to,
or a cliche.
Yeah, cliche. Yeah. And then when you're trying to right the wrong all these years later and you make a movie and every white guy is just that evil, like money hungry, racist pig, it's like, it's upsetting. It's like, that's just divisive. That's just going the other way. So they showed rednecks in this movie that were actually became part of the Black Panther movement because they were getting fucked as hard as the black community was. It was very interesting, very, I don't want to call it a fun watch because that's not what the point of the movie was, but it was eye-opening because this is a part of history that I didn't know a whole lot about. And let me see, what else did I have in the notes? This is not the kind of movie that I would want to watch again, but I did enjoy it. I liked it way more than I shouldn't say way more, but I enjoyed it more than the Chicago 7. There's even some references to Bobby Seale, who was one of the Chicago 7.
Chicago 7, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you mention HBO Max? This can be streamed for, I guess, a few weeks on HBO Max, so get on it quickly.
Yeah, I think that's it's got a limited run on HBO Max, which is interesting how they're doing.
Get on it.
It's going to go away from HBO Max and only be available. Tate, I would have enjoyed some dates and titles.
This is streaming through March 14th, so basically one more month.
I would have enjoyed seeing, like dates on the screen go a long way, at least for somebody like me. It makes it seem more official and more like I'm watching history unfold. I really like that. A lot of the time I'm like, where are we? What's going on? What's the date? So another nitpick, it lacked levity. There wasn't a whole lot of levity here, yet it didn't seem like a slog by any means. And this is not a movie that needed a whole lot of levity. I think one of the problems that I had with Chicago 7 is it seemed like forced levity at times. And the score is fucking great. I really, really enjoyed the score in this movie. So, I was afraid that this is going to be another one of these movies where I just didn't like it and I was going to, get some blowback for not liking it, but that's not the case. I definitely enjoyed Judas and the Black Messiah. And like I said, I shouldn't say enjoyed. It's not that kind of movie, but this was very well done with very likable characters.
Nominated for Best Supporting Actor, Daniel Kaluuya, and Best Original Song at the Golden Globes. Which we've agreed are the golden standard for awards.
Wouldn't that be weird if like that we just took that as our stance?
Well, it's got gold right in the title.
That was going to be the cross that we die on. Is that the Golden Globes are the end all be all. Craig Harris and Mark Isham are credited with the music. So
yeah,
it's good.
I'll always
it's really
stand up
good.
for the Golden Globes as an entertaining watch, and like I'm always going to tune in because it's going to be fun, but don't care much about the awards themselves.
Isn't that where Ricky Gervais kind of like?
Yeah, it's alternated between Ricky Gervais and the Tina Fey and Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler.
They get consistently great hosts.
I know that Ricky Gervais gives a lot of people shit, and that's enjoyable. I usually just watch the clips. I've never actually watched any of the Golden Globes live, and I don't plan on doing so anytime soon. All right, Brian.
All right, buddy. Gonna wrap this up.
That's it. Yeah. You can watch all of these movies, and I think you should do so.
Yeah.
Watch them all.
I
They're
disagree
good.
about
They're very
Unhinged, but the rest of them highly recommended. Check out The White Tiger, guys. Let me know what you think. And what else? Do we have notes for this episode? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, of course we have notes. I always give you notes.
The feature artist you hear is Brian Keenan and Ben Yonda. They are featured artists this week. Coming this Friday, Top 5 Good Dads. That is our top 5 this week. Top 5 Good Dads. I think we did top 5 bad fathers, I think. We did, so we got top 5 good dads.
Yeah, we did. We've done bad dads, and then we also did
we did father-daughter scenes.
We did inept fathers.
Aha. AndersonandBrian.com. That's where the Amazon banner resides. Thank you guys for making your purchases. We appreciate it. The Film Vault on Facebook and Twitter. Vote on our top 5. Submit your fan flictions. Instagram, Anderson and Brian. Thank you to our Patreon listeners, of course, and Giovanni, Jordan Wolf, Mitch Burns, Mike Cole, and Tam Smith for assigning us Unhinged. We appreciate, Tam, you being a signer. That's very, very cool. And if you guys want to be a signer level patrons, go to our Patreon at The Film Vault. Until next time.
We do it! For Van Gogh!
And I caught between the cage and flight.